Qingchen Xiaohua rushed to my house regardless of the rainstorm just to sleep with me for a night, but I refused her. The next day, Xiaohua died tragically in my alley. I felt guilty after that. I went to the police academy and pursued the murderer. But the rainstorm washed away all the traces. I didn't find any traces for 10 years, but suddenly, a flash of lightning sent me back to the fork in the road of this fate. Mr. Gu, I heard that your parents are doing business outside. You're the only one in the family. Can I stay at your house for a few days? I can be your property agent. I looked at the person in front of me and touched him subconsciously. I tried to avoid it instinctively, but I held my breath for help. I stood still and felt the coldness in my fingertips. His faint trembling told me clearly that he was still alive and that I was really back. I'm sorry, I was in a panic. I slipped and fell backwards. I grabbed his waist quickly and took him into my arms. In the rainstorm, there was a tension between the two of us. He didn't dare to move in my arms. I let go of my hand quickly and retreated to the edge of the light. You look too cold. I just want to give you some warmth. I'm sorry, it's okay. I opened my body and welcomed him into the house. I saw that there was no blood on his face. I was in a panic. After the former bandit committed this case in Xinhai City, he disappeared. This time, I not only wanted to save him, but also to use my years of experience to go to the crime scene tonight to rescue the real murderer. I stood at the corridor in a hurry and pulled my clothes. When I turned around to get my slippers, he was even more panicked. My socks are wet, I'll get my slippers dirty. I'll just walk in. I'll help you take off your clothes later. In the rainstorm, he was in a state of extreme anxiety. He pinched his nails into his palm and forced himself to calm down. When I turned around, he quickly used the fish light to hit around until he saw the hot tea on the teapot and the messy paper box. Then he relaxed a few times. Yo, you don't mind washing your hair, do you? Yo, you can use it first. Can you lend me another piece of clothing? My clothes are a little wet. That's when I noticed that he was only wearing a wet shirt. Anyway, if you want to change clothes, why don't you take a hot bath? Otherwise, you'll catch a cold. There is no fish tank in the guest room. Go to the bathroom in my room. I'll put it in hot water. When I heard that I was going to take a bath in my bathroom, Bai Wei bowed his head and sounded like a gentle voice. I heard the sound of water in the bathroom. Bai Wei looked at my busy back and finally had the courage to. Gu. Just call me by my name. Yo, you want to ask why I didn't ask you about the reason for your contact? Bai Wei raised his head inadvertently and nodded curiously. There must be a reason for such a beautiful girl to knock on the door and ask to be taken in on a rainy day. Since it's not convenient to say, it's impolite for me to ask. When I heard this, Bai Wei's eyes whirred. I was a good water temperatured. I walked slowly to him. Suddenly, I held my hand on the wall next to his ear and wrapped it around his arm. I'm not worried about your intentions, but... Aren't you afraid of living here? Will I do something bad to you? Bai Wei leaned against the wall, biting his lips gently, and only felt a warm feeling all over his body. I believe you. He looked at me with a pair of beautiful eyes. This answer directly blocked the space for me to continue to test. I thought there was something important to do tonight. I smiled and took back my hand. Yo, you go to take a bath. Change my clothes. With your figure, this dress can be worn as a dress for the whole body. Put it on first. Put your clothes in the washing machine to wash. Then put it in the dryer. It can be changed very quickly. Thank you. Bai Wei turned to the bathroom. I turned around and left the bedroom to prepare ginger tea. After a while, the bathroom door was pushed open. Bai Wei walked out in a large sweater. His face was smoked by the heat. His face was red. The white skin on the upper knee was exposed. I've put your slippers on. Bai Wei was dressed in warm wool slippers. The shame in his heart dissipated a lot. As soon as he left the bedroom, he smelled the sweet scent of honey ginger soup. I took the mug closer. I looked at his large neck. His throat was slightly frozen. Come on, have some ginger soup. Bai Wei took the mug. He took asip. Do you want me to cook some noodles for you? Will it be too troublesome? Troublesome? It's just a matter of minutes. Sit down first. I'll add 2 eggs for you. I was about to get up, but I was grabbed by a little hand. I can fry poached eggs. I'll help, too. When I came to the kitchen, I made a sharp knife attack and surprised Bai Wei. I cut the tomatoes and ham neatly on the chopping board. Bai Wei stepped on the stool and picked up the egg box on the top floor. With his action, the large top of his shirt rose instantly. When I brushed my face turned red instantly. Bai Wei seemed to notice my eyes. I hurried to pull the top of my shirt down, but it didn't stand still on the stool. I was in a hurry to take it from behind, but my palm accidentally slipped to a place that shouldn't be touched. His body was soft, and he fell directly into my arms. The sweet scent of honey ginger soup and the scent of the bath were suddenly mixed. We were at the same time. Until the boiling water flowed out of the soup pot, we broke the secret. I took back my hand and stepped back half a step and put the spoon in his hand. When I turned around, I saw the red earring in the mirror. It turned out that I didn't have feelings for girls for so many years, but there was no second person who could make me so excited. Bai Wei blushed and turned his head to stir the noodles. The sizzling sound of the oil peanuts just covered the redness of the heartbeat. The aroma of tomato noodles soon filled the kitchen. I brought the noodles to the table and deliberately avoided his slender fingertips. The moment the TV turned on, Bai Wei suddenly grabbed the chopsticks. The screen actually played the learning materials. I forgot to switch. The picture was extremely vivid. I was embarrassed and coughed. I quickly cut to the TV screen to meet him. I opened it by hand and drew a small heart. I almost forgot that I was afraid of being found watching this, so I refused to laugh. Fortunately, after so many years of immersion, now my face is much thicker. I quickly cut off the makeup of the red heart on my face. Bai Wei also quickly shifted the topic. It turns out that you are so good at cooking. I gently wiped the fine sweat on his nose with a tissue. I'm sweating. The cold air is gone, eat slowly. There's more in the pot. He focused on eating the noodles. He even ate the noodles with the soup cleanly. He was satisfied with his face. Are you full in one night? Yes, his voice was just recorded. There was a sudden explosion outside the window. I adjusted the reflector to look at the clock. It was 9:57 p.m. There was only about half an hour left before the incident. I must see the real face of the murderer in this matter. Time is tight. I was ready to move immediately to investigate near the crime scene. I brought a cup of water and a blanket. I covered him. Now that you're full, watch TV in the living room and digest food. I'll come back to wash the dishes. I'll go out to buy some snacks. I'll be back soon. It's raining so hard and you still go out. It's okay. It's close. When I walked to the door, I suddenly stopped and turned around. I was worried that the thief was planning to commit a crime. I might even have followed him to lurk around. Remember, no one can open the door before I come back. I have the key. I don't know how to open the door. When he heard my explanation, Bai Wei nodded like a kitten. He wrapped himself in a blanket, closed the door, and looked at the empty room. He was crouching on the sofa, waiting for me to come back. I opened the black umbrella and stepped into the rain. I looked at the waterproof watch. The time was 9:58 p.m. The forensic doctor deduced that Bai Wei's death time was 10:30 p.m. My target tonight was the 24-hour convenience store on his way to Beijing. The day before, Bai Wei borrowed an umbrella at the convenience store. He went to the crime scene after eating. Although he stayed at my house tonight, I had to make sure if the timeline would happen. I corrected it for myself and let another person die in that place in place of Bai Wei. I will never allow this to happen. On the way, I took out my phone to check the surveillance camera at home. In the picture, Bai Wei was holding his knees and watching TV on the sofa. I made sure he stayed at home and didn't run around. I sped up my pace. When I just got near the convenience store, I heard a scream. There was a sound of a beast on the side of the trash bin at the entrance. A few people were surrounding him and kicking him. They were arrogantly forcing him to ask what he was hiding in his hand. The man on the ground was holding a light gray handkerchief. There was an iron box on the side. Yez, I recognized at a glance that this was my classmate Yez, who was often bullied in my class. When he heard my voice, those guys turned their heads fiercely. His face turned white in an instant. Because my parents are quite resourceful in Shanghai City, these guys were usually very wary of. I didn't even put down my umbrella. They were in a hurry like a ghost. There was only the sound of rain hitting the iron box in the alley. I knelt down and put my umbrella on Yez's head. Are you okay? Do you want me to take you to the hospital? He still had a burnt scar on his wrist 3 months ago. I tried to help him, but he shrugged his shoulders. The iron box hit the wall. A few pencils and half a bag of cat food rolled into the muddy water. He lowered his head to pick up his school bag. The wet bangs covered the tears at the end of Heiz's. I noticed that there was a dark brown stain on his left fingernail. It looked like dry blood. It's raining so hard. Yo, you still came out to feed stray cats? Yee coughed hard. He suddenly coughed violently. Dan Bo's shoulder was shaking in the rain. I took off my coat and threw it to him. Put it on. Isn't your mother on a business trip again? If you get sick again, who will take care of your brother? At that time, a surveillance video of Qian's family suddenly flashed in my mind. Qian's Bai Wei seemed to see something outside the convenience store and walked towards the alley. When I saw Yez at this time, I suddenly realized that Bai Wei should have seen the scene where Yez was bullied. I flashed all kinds of details about Qian's family in my mind. If Qian's Bai Wei left the convenience store to stop this bullying, his wet appearance is likely to make this group of confused bullying eyes become harassment. I tried to recall the state of Qian's Joisher and Yez. He was much more injured than he is now, but he didn't react much to Bai Wei's death. This means that Qian's family is likely to be the confusion he fought to death. Bai Wei was not taken away by them. Since they didn't do it, the real murderer is someone else. After a lot of reasoning, I instantly locked a key information. This kind of stormy day, whoever goes out with that deadly knife is the biggest suspect. Thinking of the 3 confused people, it is very likely to have a knife. I immediately let them go. As for the injured Yez, Qian's family lived well until graduation. Now I can only put him aside. If you're okay, just go home. I just got ready to leave and stopped to take a look at Yez's broken umbrella and put the black umbrella in his hand. Your umbrella is broken. Use mine. I have something to do and can't see you off. Be careful, go home quickly. Not waiting for Yez to refuse, I ran into the storm. There was no trace of running. Because the rain was too heavy, the 3 confused people didn't run far. They were hiding under a cliff. They were discussing whether to take a sack to cover my head and beat me. But because of my family's background, they didn't dare to do it easily. Just when they were uncertain, I rushed toward him. The 3 confused people were scared. They thought I was here for money. They kept backing up. Hey, 3 friends, lend mesomething. The 3 of them looked at each other and were fully prepared. If you don't lend money, lend something else. The 3 of them looked at me in confusion. I stared at them. There was a smile on their faces. You're a thief. The 3 confused people were standing still. They obviously didn't understand my request. The 3 of you are out for a walk. You're not going out without a knife, are you? The fighting technique was really effective. The green cat threw a butterfly knife out of his pocket. He was showing off in front of me. I just took a look. I was sure this was not the fruit knife in the forensic report. This is too fancy. I'll give you 100 yuan to buy a fruit knife like that. Under the heavy reward, the other 2 confused people ran out of fear. One is a complicated Swiss Army knife and one is a cold-blooded military knife. The 2 knives are not the weapon I'm looking for. The knife is a good knife. It's a pity that I only brought 100 yuan. Forget it. I ignored the confusion and doubted that I was fooled. I turned around and went back into the cold rain. These three confused people didn't have the weapon I was looking for. The clue was completely broken. A strong sense of anxiety burned in my chest. In fact, the simplest way to solve the case is to refuse by way like the previous case and then follow it secretly. But when you come back and see him safe and sound, I can't control my excitement. I'd rather choose the C to catch the needle. I will never risk his life again. I went back to the convenience store to buy an umbrella. A kind shopkeeper gave me a clean towel and let me dry the rainwater on my head. I went to the sewer and put my phone in the waterproof bag. Then I imitated the movement and steps. I fell into the storm again and headed for the fate-like crime scene. As soon as I stepped into the rain, the storm almost broke the umbrella. I stepped on the mud and broken glass and finally arrived at the blind spot of the surveillance camera. This is the crime scene in the previous trace examination report. The waterproof watch is shining and shows 22.17%. The storm is raging and directly overturned the umbrella. I just gave up the umbrella and smashed it down with the cold rain. The phone was shaking in the waterproof case. I leaned against the wet brick wall to open the home monitor. The yellow light was shrinking in the corner of the sofa. My feet were shaking and my eyes were looking at the door. I was in a good mood and worried. Just wait a little longer. Don't worry. It's 22.29. A metal bump suddenly came from the end of the alley. I touched it and accidentally saw a familiar person. John Yen, a famous joker in Star C2. He was sitting under the shelter of a fake building and used a fruit knife to peel an apple. This is Lao Gu. It's so windy in the middle of the night. Why don't you bring an umbrella? What are you doing here? I'm going out to do something. The umbrella was blown away by the wind. What are you doing in the middle of the night? John Yen picked up an apple in a plastic bag with a knife. I know her father's identity is just a security guard. Her family is poor. Her mother is also suffering from severe urinary tract infection. I gave my mother some fruit, but I was chased back. She and Zui Bianyuan stick to the corridor of the hospital and use anti-slippery plaster. She has a special disinfectant on her body. However, my sight is fixed on the fruit knife in her hand. The characteristics of this knife are exactly the same as the murder of Bai Wei. Why are you standing in the rain? Come on. I'm right next door. I borrowed an umbrella from you. When I walked into the shelter, Zhang Yan's cell phone suddenly rang. There was a call from the nurse. She said her mother was bleeding. Zhang Yan's face changed instantly. The fruit knife fell into the water. She didn't even have time to call for help. She turned around and ran into the rain. I picked up the knife from the mud. A cold feeling came to me. After careful inspection, I confirmed that the size of the knife was exactly the same at this time. This is the key weapon that killed Bai Wei in the past life. If the weapon was accidentally thrown away by Jiang Yan, the real murderer is likely to pass by and find her in the next half hour. I took a deep breath and threw the knife back to the original place. With years of experience, I retreated into the dark and quietly folded my clothes. It rained heavily. At 22.35, a homeless man fell into the shed. He kicked over a can of cans, stuck a lot of knives in the mud, and stepped into the mud with a bottle of wine. At 22.47, a delivery man was killed by a car. He accidentally stepped on the knife and fell. He climbed up slowly and kicked the knife into the water. Wu and I covered the knife instantly. The time came to 22.55. The knife that was covered by Wu and I was already difficult to be accidentally touched. There were only a few minutes left before Bai Wei's death was determined. Suddenly, a man in a black raincoat with a black shadow on his face looked at me. He bent his back and walked towards the knife that was covered by Wu and I. My whole body was as tight as a bowstring. As soon as he held the handle of the knife, there was a black scar on his wrist. I walked out of the dark and clearly saw the face under the raincoat. It was the famous chemist Li Mingyu who saved a student in the lab 3 months ago. He was burned by acid and even comforted the student. He is still a famous chemist. But if he is the murderer, all the doubts in the past life can be explained. Bai Wei was attacked in the alley of Chifei, but there was no trace of escape. That's because he definitely believed this gentle old man. If Li Mingyuan asked for a raincoat took over him and took him home to his teacher's house, Bai Wei would not have any protection. When I think of this, I feel extremely painful. But I can't act rashly. After all, Li Mingyuan hasn't committed a crime yet. I decided to test his purpose of going out late at night. Li Mingyuan immediately raised his head and saw my wet face full of surprise and concern. I stared at his expression and captured a glimmer of hesitation in his eyes. It's nothing. I just came out to buy a pack of cigarettes. He was lying. Li Mingyuan doesn't smoke at all and he is not a good man recognized by everyone. My raincoat is spacious. You come in first, I'll take you back to my house and lend you the raincoat. He is still the kind-hearted woman. Stared at his raincoat, I noticed that his eyes subconsciously swiped past the adults next to him and quickly withdrew and hugged my shoulder. On the way, I was lost like a walking corpse. When I arrived at the door, Li Mingyuan suddenly took out his cell phone and sent a message and picked it up quickly. I forgot to bring the key. Wait a minute. But I just felt that he had a key in his waist. This is his second lie tonight. I kept magnifying my doubts. After a while, the door finally opened. The one who opened the door was Li Mingyuan's wife, Hongxiao's chemistry teacher Xin Cheng. She was wearing a silk robe and a loose belt with a blush on her face. The warm light of the porch was cleared. I saw the red wine bottle on the tea table in the living room and the scented candles burning and the scattered rose petals. At this moment, my mind was clear. All the clues were connected in a clear loop. Li Mingyuan was supposed to go out with his wife tonight, but he found that he had run out of his belongings and came out to buy them. Out of the habit of good people, he went to clean up the mess of the water pipe. He accidentally picked up the fruit knife and ran into me. He was too embarrassed to go shopping and worried about me, so he brought me back. He pretended not to bring the key to send a message just to leave time for his wife to change clothes. All his abnormal behaviors were reasonably explained at this moment. I took a towel to wipe my hair, but my doubts turned into greater confusion. If he is still that goodman, if his wife is looking forward to waiting for him to go home. Will such a man really be angry with female students on the road and throw corpses to kill people? Shin Sheng noticed that Li Mingyuan was holding a dirty knife in his hand and asked curiously, "Where did you pick up the knife? Why is it so dirty?" "I picked it up at the entrance of the sewer and blocked a lot of garbage. I just ran into Gunanchang and forgot to throw it out." Li Mingyuan said he was going to throw the knife into the trash can, but I suddenly realized something was wrong. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Li. Let me take a look at this knife. Li Mingyuan doubtfully turned the knife counterclockwise and handed it to me. This subconscious anti-harm action once again confirmed the gentleness in his bones. I picked up the fruit knife and took a closer look. The face changed instantly. The light was too dark to see clearly before. The blade of this knife actually has a slight curl. Thesis obviously caused by Jian Yan cutting it with his blade. There is no explanation about the curl in the forensic report. There will be obvious differences in the cut. This means that the real murder weapon is not this knife at all. I completely locked the wrong target. I swiped my watch. It's already 23 o'clock. The real murderer may have just appeared at this time. I was in a hurry to put the towel back in Shin Sheng's hand. "I'm sorry, Mr. Li. It's too late. I have to go home. I'll borrow your raincoat first." I took the knife back to Li Mingyuan's hand. I kicked the raincoat into the storm. I ran all the way back to the crime scene.